Note that due to COVID-19 pandemic, the commission is meeting virtually and the meeting is being streamed on the Port's YouTube channel. Now, Suzanne Kenny will present the first agenda item. Suzanne.
Good morning. Today we have 2 agenda items and 3 action items for your consideration. The first item reflects changes to the current fiscal year budget to stay in compliance with state budget law. The second item requests that Commission adopt the fiscal year 2020-21 budget, followed by the adoption of the ordinance to levy taxes for fiscal year 2020-21.
Oops.
So the first agenda item requests your approval of adjustments to the appropriation levels for the current fiscal year 2019-20 budget. State budget law requires our appropriation levels be set high enough so that we do not incur an over expenditure. And as is consistent with past practice, budget appropriations are reviewed and adjusted if needed prior to the end of the fiscal year. As we approach the end of the fiscal year, we reviewed actual and anticipated expenditures relative to the appropriations and are requesting adjustments to the general fund, the airport revenue fund, and the airport construction fund to cover 2 areas. The first area is an increase in the other environmental requirements by $2.5 million. This is to provide for potential accruals related to the timing of environmental liabilities. This category of expenditures covers environmental expenses for the Portland Harbor cleanup at sites the port no longer owns or operates. The second area requiring adjustment reflects the timing of interdepartmental labor charged to PDX capital projects. This adjustment provides for a $2 million increase to cover approximately $1 million in engineering support and $1 million in PDX support. This results in adjustments to the Airport Construction Fund capital outlay and service reimbursements, as well as interdepartmental reimbursement adjustments to the General Fund for engineering labor and the Airport Revenue Fund for PDX labor. The detailed schedule of appropriations and explanation for the appropriation changes are attached as Exhibits A and B to the agenda item. And the total budget for fiscal year 2019-20 after these adjustments is approximately $1.8 billion. At this point, staff requests approval of the executive director's recommendation.
Thank you, Suzanne. Does any commissioner have a question or comment with respect to the material presented? Hearing none, I'll call for a motion and second to approve the executive director's recommendation.
I will move.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Pam, would you lead us to a roll call, please?
Commissioners Alexander,
Aye.
Kupro-Comas,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Levy,
Aye.
McDonald,
Aye.
Nemi, Commissioner Nemi, you're on mute.
Hi, this is Megs. Sorry about that. Aye.
There we go. Commissioner Pierce
Aye.
and Commissioner Saruda.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Suzanne, could you lead us to the next agenda item, please?
Yes. So the second agenda item requests that Commission adopt the fiscal year 2020-21 budget and ordinance number 470T levying property taxes in the Tri-County Port District. We reviewed the budget with the Commission in May and with the TSCC in June, and the TSCC has certified the port's budget with no objections. The budget submitted for adoption today contains some changes from the amounts approved by the Commission in May and reviewed with the TSCC on June 10th. These changes are in the General Fund, the Airport Revenue Fund, the Airport Construction Fund, and the Customer Facility Charge Fund. These changes are within the limits of the Oregon Revised Statutes and are detailed on in Exhibits C and D attached to this agenda item. These changes represent a decrease of approximately $31.7 million from the budget approved by Commission in May, and this decrease is primarily driven by a $5.7 million decrease in PDX operating expenses, as well as incorporating approximately $12 million in revenue sharing into the airline's rate base as a result of the CARES grant allocation and dollars budgeted to be drawn in fiscal year 21. The combined impact of the airline's share of the lower operating expense budget, as well as the revenue shared with the airlines, results in a reduction of approximately $18.8 million in reimbursement revenues from the airlines. The overall decrease in the fiscal year 21 budget from what was presented in May is also driven by approximately $2.3 million in reduced operating expenses in the current fiscal year as a result of cost reduction measures implemented in response to the COVID pandemic. This results in higher ending fund balances in the current fiscal year 20 and correspondingly higher beginning balances in fiscal year 21. And finally, there is a reduction of approximately $15.3 million in transfers between funds and a $9.7 million reduction in contingencies as a result of these changes. The total budget for fiscal year 21 is approximately $2.7 billion. Staff requests approval of the Executive Director's recommendation to adopt the fiscal year 2020-21 budget and enact Ordinance 470T.
Thank you, Suzanne. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'll call for motion and second for approval of the Executive Director's recommendation.
I move.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Pam, could you lead the roll call?
Commissioners Alexander,
Aye.
Kouprokoumis,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Levy,
Aye.
McDonald,
Aye.
Nemi,
Aye.
O'Halloran,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
and Saruda.
Aye.
Thank you. Suzanne, would you please read the ordinance number 470T by title only?
Yes. Ordinance 470T-T of the Port of Portland, an ordinance levying taxes to be collected in the fiscal year July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021 upon the taxable property within the boundaries of the Port of Portland.
Thank you. Any questions? I'll call for motion and second for enactment of ordinance 470T.
I so move.
Second.
Thank you, Pam.
Commissioners Alexander,
Aye.
Kouprokoumis,
Aye.
Lamb,
Aye.
Levy,
Aye.
McDonald,
Aye.
Nemi,
Aye.
O'Halloran,
Aye.
Pierce,
Aye.
and Saruda.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. The meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Thank you,
right.
Madam President.
Thank you.
Thank
Stay
you.
safe.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank
Everyone
you.
be safe.